Hey guys, now as promised, I want to speak on something today. However, before I start, I want to point out the difference in my state, the difference in my energy. Although it's probably apparent to many who may have seen the last video, is obviously a different energy. And I want to bring some awareness to that, shed some light upon that, because it's important. Now, last video, I just got done working out and eating. Literally just got done eating and I wanted to make the video. So, obviously a different vibe. As anybody who works out regularly can attest to, it's a different energy when you're in the gym or after you get out of the gym. Uh, you're operating more from the solar plexus, the fire element, the masculine, kind of more the personal element, right? More the ego involved. Whereas today I'm in a fasted state. So I'm operating more from a heart space as opposed to last video where, again, operating from solar plexus and also the root chakra, the earth element. Having just gotten done eating, I was more grounded, right? Bare feet on the ground now. It's good to get out and get grounded. All of my cellular networks in the ground, connecting to the Mother Earth from which we all arose, and which we, at least the body, goes back to when this one's experience is finished, at least as far as the body's concerned. Anyways, I want to speak on love. Now, it's something that's truly undefinable. It's transcendent to reason and logic. There's nothing wrong with reason and logic. It's great to operate and to function in the world. And however, love is essentially beyond the mind. It's a presence. It's something that we witness. We are the loving witness. It's indiscriminate. True love needs, wants, or expects nothing from anybody. It's a way of being in the world. It's a way of relating to the world. It's beyond doingness and havingness. It's a sense of beingness. It's a pure, unblemished awareness. Spotless awareness. But also there's a sense of aliveness. And distractions. Usually in a loving space, you're free of distractions. The bugs. Got to get rid of the mosquito consciousness. The black flies are finished. Now it's more mosquito season. Kind of forget about them, right? It's kind of hard to, and they're injecting their needle into you. Anyways, I continue. Try to exclude them out of consciousness. But love is something that many people confuse. We think it's something that we generate, something that we originate. It comes from us, and we ration it out and assign it to people, right? We think it has something to do with the personality. We think it has something to do with personal memory and personal history and personal identity. And it really has nothing to do with any of those. It has nothing to do with the relationship because it's unconditional. Love, when it's conditioned, is not really love because, again, it needs, wants, and expects nothing from anybody. There's no bookkeeping, no record keeping. There's no, it's a completely surrendered state, so there's no subconscious or conscious expectations of other people because all those have been surrendered. It's a very lighthearted space. It's a sense of lightheartedness that's beyond cravingness. We are able to simply sit and enjoy the inner stillness of the presence around us without feeling like we need something outside of us because we become that love. And it's a very high energy state. And thus, we need not consume energy outside of us, because we are that energy. It's something that we embody. It's something that we've aligned to, that we've harmonically attuned to as a result of the spiritual process, the surrender process, the process of letting go of that subjective awareness, lovingly and peacefully and harmoniously being aware of the thoughts and emotions that arise and pass as they come and go, and simply letting them go without any resistance, simply being aware of what is. And when all the resistances have been surrendered to life, there's not only a sense of willingness to be involved with the world and to play your part in your role, and of course that involves a personality, but we don't confuse that as our identity. We are aware that it's there to operate in the world. There needs to be a sense of, well, not a subjective sense of personality, but in order to appease others and to respond accordingly, there, is that element of personality. But we don't confuse that as our identity. We see that, you know, we are transcendent to negativity, but we don't judge it in others. We see that all judgment is really self-judgment, is judging ourselves. We see the world clearly. We see that really being somebody, feeling like we're somebody subjectively, like we're a personality, like we have a personal identity. When there's that sense subjectively, it's more of a tenseness instead of a easy stillness. Love is a state of stillness. And feeling like we're somebody within is really a state of ignorance. Whereas love is global. It's total. It's all inclusive. There's no condition. So it's not, you're not placing conditions on, oh, I love this person. You're not assigning, I like this person more than that. You're transcendent to attractions and aversions and likes and dislikes and preferences. It's not saying that you don't have any preferences, because again, there's still that element of personality. However, mostly it's been transcended because you're simply that beingness, that awareness, which is transcendent to that ignorance of, thinking that we're a personality. When we're in a state of lovingness, again, it's global, it's total, and it's it's kind of a sense of being nothing, but at the same time, you're everything. Simultaneously, nothing and everything. It's kind of hard to put a label to. Like I said, it's kind of undefinable. And when we're in the space of love, it becomes automatic. It's not something that we have to try to do. It becomes our base state. It becomes our base state. That's the thing about a lot of saints. And it's a label, right? To point to an individual, a person that, we could define as saintly, a very loving person, a person who has a big heart, we could say. But such a person doesn't see themselves as a person. There's a sense of openness, just that simple open gaze. It really allows you to read the soul. Again, in a loving state, you perceive essence. The essence of a situation or a problem becomes the focus. and thus we're able to see clearly a solution instantaneously, automatically, without any forethought or premeditation or any reason. Essence becomes the focus, and thus appearance is seen as superficial, really. You don't identify with the body. There's even times, it's most of the time, like I said, it's a state where it's something that you become and it becomes automatic and you're not really aware of the body because you're that pure awareness and there's no identification or feeling grounded in the body unless you just got done working out or you ate or whatever. But still, it's a subjective state where you not only feel one with the world, feel a part of it, feel like everything is perfect and complete the way it is. There's no judgment. And at the same time, you're kind of transcendent to the world. You're a part of it, but you're completely surrendered. It's okay if it happens. It's okay if it doesn't. Whatever happens, it's all harmonious. It's all joyous. And that's our subjective experience when we're in a state of lovingness. And like I was saying a couple minutes ago, the person that we could call a saint, that's in that state of lovingness. The issue oftentimes is that such people profess love and try to teach it. And oftentimes, not every time, but depending, it always depends, that might repel some people who are operating more from a lower levels of consciousness. They haven't surrendered those lower emotions. They haven't done the inner work. They haven't surrendered the energies of the lower chakras and the emotions attached and associated with those energy bodies. So they're more susceptible to negativity or negative energy or lower vibrational energy. We don't need to think in terms of duality as positivity and negativity, because essentially it's just different vibrational energy, a different frequency. And what we call negativity is operating from the lower energy bodies, the lower chakras or energy centers. And once the resistance associated with those has been transcended, as a result of the surrendering process, the letting go process, the spiritual process, it allows us to rise that energy up into the higher chakras, the higher energy spaces, where we naturally feel more joyous. Our sense of joy comes from our very existence, not anything outside of us. It's not conditional, it's not dependent on this or that. It's a sense of constantness because that presence is always with us. It's not just a concept, it's something that we actually subjectively witness as we embody the higher energies, as we surrender and let go and allow that Kundalini energy to rise within us. Now, that's again a label. Kundalini also means universal primordial energy, also means Shakti, right? These are all labels to point at the same thing. We don't want to get hung up on the labels or confuse that as the truth, because the truth is not a label. The truth is being it, embodying it, and witnessing it for ourselves. I didn't say experiencing there because witnessing is different than experiencing. There's a nuanced distinction. Experiencing is a sense of I-ness, a sense of me-ness, and in a sense of lovingness, you're the witness. You're the loving witness. There's really no I. And of course, I say I in these videos because how else am I supposed to refer to this thing called myself? There's got to be a way to communicate it with other people. And when you're in a state of lovingness, you see the body as more of a faculty. Maybe that's not the right word. As an instrument to communicate. Simply, that's it. There's no identification with it. And as such, of course, we need to say I, because, I could say Alex this and that, but nobody talks in third person, right? So there's got to be some sense of conformity, although that's not our experience subjectively. Outwardly, it may appear that way. Outward actions and habits may appear the same from the outside, from other people looking in, but subjectively, they're actually of a completely different dimension, of a completely different paradigm, reality, or context. Somebody may appear to do the same thing day in and day out, but inwardly, it's that sense of constantness, that sense of presence. It's joyous, and again, we can talk about it. And it's not so much the words as concepts, but more the energy in back of the words, the space from within from which they arise, in which they're expressed. And in a state of lovingness, there's a sense of openness and thus non-resistance, and everything's effortless. It's a sense of free flowingness, because you're the loving witness and you're not attached to this or that. And in fact, you don't even see things in terms of this or that, because it's all connected. It's not just a intellectual concept, but it's a complete, total, global, whole, wonderful experience. Experience without that sense of I-ness. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with this. This and that are the same. There's a willingness to forgive. And in fact, we transcend the illusion of needing to forgive, because if you think you need to forgive somebody, then there's that implication that there was a wrongdoing involved, that they did something wrong, that there was a mishap. And when you're in a loving space, there's no judgment. So everything is perfect as it is, and there's really no mishaps. Every experience is of equal importance, of equal value. Both mistakes and successes are seen as equally valuable, because there's a hidden gift in everything, in both failure and success. It's a hidden opportunity. It need not be hidden. When you're in a loving space, it's not hidden. It's seen clearly. Every moment is an opportunity. It's a blessing. And when you surrender constantly, wholeheartedly, and continuously, after prolonged periods of that inner work, that inner surrender, you reach a space subjectively that's really timeless. And there's really no past or future. It's all continuous. It's all happening now. And now is a concept. It's a word. All words are concepts. But it's more of a subjective sense of wholeness, that everything, again, is perfect as it is. Because we're the loving witness. There's non-resistance, non-attachment, which is different than detachment. Detachment could mean avoidance, but when we're in a space of lovingness, there's a sense of involvement, but there's not over-involvement. There's not an overwillingness. There's not the need that, there's not a feeling, the need that I need to post these videos. It's not an obligation. Uh, it's not a duty. Duty's a four-letter dirty word. It's something that I want to do and something that I choose to do rather than something that I need to do or have to do. Because, intelligent people, they do what they love to do. And there's a certain joy. You could say they like their life to a certain extent. But a person who we could say is a genius, who's operating from that sense of lovingness, it's not intellectual. You could say genius is operating from the heart space. That's what makes everything seem miraculous from the outside in. But it's really the context or the energy field from which they're operating that is responsible. It's impersonal. Because the person is the channel through which the field manifests and operates, and they're surrendered to that field, to that impersonal presence, to that lovingness, that energy, and thus they're able to manifest the miraculous, and it seems effortless, and it is. That's their subjective experience. There's no conditions. It's non-selective. It's really beyond the mind. It can often be at times even, I said it was effortless, but sometimes it's difficult to even think about concepts because that state of inner stillness and bliss is so alluring, it's so inviting, and that sense of nowness is always with us in that presence, in that lovingness, and it's it's beyond concepts. And when you're in that bliss, it's really easy to let go of certain habits or certain attachments because they're kind of irrelevant. You're blissful by your own nature. You don't need anything outside of you because you are the energy. It's something that you embody. Having a conversation with somebody today is, I said, I'm not going to say verbatim. But basically, I said something. I was like, if I eat. They were like, if you eat, it's not because you're poor, right? It's because it's a choice. I said, yes, it's a choice. Number one, I'm not poor, and I don't think about rich in terms of money, anyways. It's something that being rich to me means a subjective experience. It's a state of being. But I said, no, I don't need to eat every day. He said, if you eat, like it was like you need to eat every day. That's talk about belief systems, kind of relating to last video. It's a common misconception that you miss a few meals, it's gonna be the end of the world. That it's bad, right? Again, being in loving, you being loving. There's gonna be no good and bad, no right and wrong, no duality. So you see everything clearly. You're not polarized either which way. Everything's perfect today, right now. You see everything in terms of energy. In love, we can say it's a presence. It's a standalone energy that operates without even humanity. That's another belief we can let go of, is that a lot of us may think that the universe, the cosmos, is human-centric. It's not. The world was going on long before humans were here. And it will continue on long after humanity is no longer here. Love is a standalone energy. It operates independently. It's existing and living simultaneously inside this reality, yet it's beyond it. It's not dependent on humanity. It's unconditional, not contingent, not dependent. And we can access it. We can access this energy, this presence, through fasting, through certain practices, through meditating, essentially through the letting go process, through the surrender process, by gaining a sense of awareness of the human system and thinking in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Again, can't be said enough. Now, I'm aware that some of these videos may be easier to follow along than others based on the state I'm in. Today, again, is a fasted state, and I did a lot of meditating. So it's more of a subjective stillness in contrast to the last video, which is more kind of a coming at you sense. I hope not, at least, but today's more of a calm energy. And being in that state of stillness, it can be oftentimes not difficult to express effectively. I wouldn't say it's difficult, it's just more slow paced. And there might be gaps and silences in between the words, and I may go off on tangents and not loop back to what I was talking about because I'm surrendered. It's just kind of coming out naturally. It's effortless. It's not premeditated. It's not planned. I honestly didn't know that I was going to make a video today. It's kind of happening. I I'm living in my own world, right? Very in solitude, and I still want to connect with the world. I still want to share. And right now, this is how I do that. I do that through YouTube. I still want to be involved in a part of the world, even though I'm in my own world. I still want to share the energy, the love that I have. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be able to do that through YouTube. It's a great platform. And, it's that sense of gratitude is always there. It's always there. That transform everything around you. A sense of gratitude. There's there's no pride of accomplishment either, because it's simply a gratefulness, a gratitude to be able to get on here and express. There's no sense of meanness, and thus it allows me to express unconditionally, openly, candidly, and accept my mistakes wholeheartedly. Accept the fact that, it may not resonate with somebody, that somebody may judge me, but since I'm in a state of lovingness, I don't judge them. And when you're in that state, you're impervious to so-called judgments of others. They're not even seen as judgments because you're transcended to it. Again, you're transcended to the negativity. You don't even see it as negativity or judge it as negativity. Again, that's just a label to denote the lower energies. And when you're in the loving space, we could even feel love for Hitler, right? We could see that really he was a dedicated individual. He believed in what he was doing. He believed that he was serving. He was just a victim of those lower energies. We could say he's possessed by certain energies within this reality that dominates a lot of humanity. I won't say the majority, but certainly many. Collectively, it affects the populace as a result of people not committing to and being dedicated to the spiritual process. Like Hitler, he was dedicated in the opposite direction, but we can still feel love for him. We can still accept him, accept that, you know, he was simply a victim. Even people that have the victim's mentality, right? There's nothing wrong with them. Of course, they may think there is. And that's the problem, is the fact that they have problems. They think there's something wrong with them, but in reality, fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with them. And when you're in that space of unconditionalness, that loving space, you don't see something as being wrong with them. You don't see people as being wrong because they are victims to a certain belief system. We don't see them as ego, even though they might feel that way subjectively. We can simply befriend that aspect of ourselves and see it as a teddy bear, not something that's bad, but something that's simply limited. From a loving viewpoint, everybody's right where they need to be. And in a certain sense, nobody can really be other than what they are. They're what they are because that's what's right for them in the moment. And in a certain sense, they really can't be anything other than what they are. That's not to say that they won't change or they won't come across certain information or they won't embody evolution, that letting go process. But in the sense of right now, there's nothing wrong with them. And when you feel that way about the world and other people, then you feel that way about yourself. Again, there's no judgment of others, then there's no self judgment. It's one and the same. That lovingness, there's that sense of oneness. There's no duality between subjective and objective, subject and object, of self and other. Because you perceive essence, that self same essence is reflected back to you as the other. You open your eyes, you see the world as an extension of yourself. And you don't just see it intellectually, but you feel it experientially. You see that subjectivity is really the only reality. It's the source of divinity, our subjective experience, that which we witness internally. The incoming thoughts and emotions and whatever it may be, we can simply let them go, observe them effortlessly, and see that everything is occurring and happening spontaneously. And actually, it's not even happening. It simply is as it is. It's perfect the way it is. There's no errant ego to correct because it doesn't exist. Even if it may seem like it's our subjective experience, it's essentially, ego is essentially resistance, right? Love is non-resistance. That heart space is non-resistance. But we don't have to identify with the resistance. We can simply see that we're the awareness that is aware of the thoughts and emotions and the resistance. But we're not the resistance itself. We can disidentify with it. And there's, I think that's a common misconception about the spiritual process, about somebody who's spiritual, is that it's always going to be joyful and happy-go-lucky and optimistic. And it may seem that way from the outside looking in. But if I were to say that I'm joyful all the time, that would be a falsehood. That wouldn't be the truth. And like I said, I think it's a common misconception about the spiritual process that there's not going to be times where you might experience some inner agony, some inner despair. And that's part of the letting go process. I'm just being honest. Because you feel and have a certain sense of empathy for others. And the suffering of humanity, and because you feel that that is you, everybody around you. You realize that the more you love, the more you can love. The more you give, the more you receive. Giving and receiving are really one and the same, because we're equally a part of that same presence of lovingness that everybody fundamentally is, beyond that resistance. We want to operate from the high regions so that we can be in that effortless, lighthearted, non-resistant space. And sometimes we might be in, something may arise in consciousness. Where did that come from? You may have personally evolved past certain energies and certain emotions, but at times it seems as if collectively, that which still exists in the collective unconscious, as Carl Jung referred to it, arises within you, and that too has to be surrendered and let go. And that's, like I was saying, the despair and agony that can be from that which is a part of humanity's collective consciousness, that which we're all a part of. And those certain negative energies have to be released and let go. And it's a process. And in a space of lovingness, you are very patient. There's a sense of persistence. There's a sense of, I'm in this no matter what. No matter what. And it's beyond willingness. It's not a sense of personal will. I gotta do this. It's beyond doing this. I hope this, at least some of it, resonates. I'm gonna let you go for now. Much love. God bless. I'll see you in the next video, Peace.